Hey everyone. I know you cannot
Hello?
chat today. Oh, do you have voice? Oh, you guys do. I left it on. That's right. All right. Did someone come on to ask me if I was making a game? Lovely. All right. Let's see here. Audio capture on that should be on. Why is that not working right now? Oh, you know what? That's probably on game output. So let me change this. I need to get this set up. It's going to go to game output. There we go. Close, close. All right. Let me see here. Where do I want to start? All right. I will be jumping in just a second. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm just gonna start a little music for my benefit. Assuming that it loads. Yeah, I guess I'll have to tell me how the volume is. This is just so I can have the game music turned off and I'm still not bored to death listening to my own voice. All right, so got the audio set up. I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. Full screen projector. I need to move this screen down now. And then full screen projector onto screen 4. All right, so now I can see what you guys see. And then I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. Elyria game mechanics. Full screen projector. Source custom. Go live. All right. Yep, you guys should be seeing what I'm seeing now. May have audio too this time. I don't know. In theory, you should.
We see gameplay mechanics complete.
Oh, okay. But do you have audio?
Just a sec. No audio.
Let's see. Advanced audio properties, monitor and output, close. Screen capture, audio output capture. Then Discord is currently set to. Oh, you know what? It's currentently capturing my mic, I bet. I probably need to change it to be capturing the correct thing. All right, let me route. I bet I can route my output and stuff to it. So give me just 1 second. I'm changing some things real quick. My voice is probably gonna go away in a second. That's okay. It'll be back one way or the other. So just give me a moment. Okay. So that's coming directly from there. I would need to change that to be coming from a new input device. So I'd have to create an input device for that to work.
But voice now.
What's up?
We got voice now.
Oh yeah, I didn't actually turn voice off. I was just trying to find. So I have music now playing. I'm running this through OBS this time rather than going directly through Discord. So it gives me the ability to share my screen in a way that I can now do overlays and stuff like that if I wanted to. I don't, but I can. But it should have allowed for audio as well. So I have my desktop audio routed to a different channel, which is now an input on my audio mixer, and that's going to here on this screen, which should be the audio output as well. I'm seeing the audio output, and that should be the input for you guys is this. So I don't know why it's not getting both me and the audio output, because I'm set as the input mic from yeah, I think that's the problem is the input's coming from my mic and it's not coming from the audio output of this screen. So I need to fix that, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about it today too much.
What we see is the gameplay mechanics document.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's all I had open right now. That's what I was working on before. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I guess I'll go ahead and tag people again. 1 second, common room. At here, jumping in to live stream now, showing off the world pool I hinted at yesterday, then proceeding to doing showing off the world pool, actually discussing work breakdown a bit, showing off the world I hinted at yesterday, then proceeding to doing my competitive analysis. All right. So, for those of you who have joined, just wanted to quickly overview. I'm also probably going to eat right now because I haven't had lunch. I was working on another task. I just closed that down, but I also had the gameplay outline here, and I just wanted to take a minute. Let's see, to talk over this a little bit. So this is a work breakdown structure for the entire Chronicles of Elyria. So it's an outline that has basically everything that needs to be done. And when everything in here is done, then this is done. And it's hierarchical, so it keeps going down. So the idea here is that when, I also need to make sure I can see the chat. There we go. The game isn't coming out, come to terms. Okay. I love how people are signing into chat now to tell me what I'm the only one who could possibly know. But anyways, I am sorry you feel that way. So anyways, looking ahead here, so we have the game complete, the COE website complete, pre-release marketing complete, and then deployment and publishing complete. And each of these are a further breakdown of various things that need to happen. But in order to call the game complete, the design has to be complete, the engineering has to be complete, the world generation has to complete, all assets have to be complete, and then all content has to be complete, which is like dialogue and copy text, which expands out to like any pre-made NPC text and other things, informational. We've got all of our art assets that need to be created, and these get further broken down into things. And then there is a separate asset list that go along with these, because I didn't want to outline everything in here. This is just a work breakdown structure, not an asset list. And then we have the world generation complete and the different tools and stuff that need to be made in order to generate the world. Some of which is it's done, but not done in such a way that it can be done inside of Kingdoms of Elyria. But it is done in such a way that we can make the maps, which is what we did before. The game design complete. Okay. More lowers. So Nova, for what it's worth, I'm just going to address you specifically. So this Discord server is for the development of the Elyria world. It's Chronicles of Elyria and Kingdoms of Elyria, as well as Elyria Adventures. And so it's really meant for people in the community who are backers, who also have a vested interest in seeing the game developed and released, and who want to provide positive encouragement to me, as well as want to participate with the community in a way that's constructive. So if you're going to sign in and just spend your time in the chat telling me that I'm never going to get this done and telling me what you believe or perceive to have been completed, which you're wrong, but if that's what you're going to do here, you can leave. leave for now. Obviously come back once the games are actually in release and you want to discuss them here at the at that time. But for the time being, I'm just letting you know that like what you're doing is not really the purpose of this Discord server, and so if it continues, I'll have to ask you to leave, just so that it's not discouraging for me and the other people in here who are here because they want to be supportive and see stuff moving ahead. So, all right, back to what I was doing. As part of the work breakdown structure, obviously we have what did I do? I was under game complete, under design complete. So this tool allows me to dig in more. So there's the gameplay mechanics complete. So this has, the mechanics broken down by the various releases. It's not that it's for no particular reason. The mechanics that are in these are obviously very specific. So like the domain mechanics are these things, diplomacy, identities, government. There's quite a bit in the government system that I want. And again, there are separate design documents for these. This is not a tool for doing design. It's just an outlining tool. So it helps me track, what the work breakdown structure is. So focusing on like NPC personalities and NPC sentiments and stuff, various achievements, the characters have the things that we need specifically for Kingdoms of Elyria and really nothing else. And then that sort of thing. So then when we jump down into the settlement mechanics, you can see that some of these have a part 2, which talks more about the mechanics that need to be done at a lower level. So, for example, let me just pop this in here real quick. So here's the design document that I was telling you about. So underneath the settlement mechanics, you can see we've got the various pages that are associated with those things, and economics, environment, events, occupations and stuff. And these are kind of all the mechanics that are being designed as part of settlements. Now I'm showing you this one and not the kingdoms one or domains because that's the one I've just recently started. And so it's not as fleshed out as much. And so this one is the one that kind of is the breakdown for all of these. And then obviously there's different things like the game modes that I was talking about. We have our production schedule stuff, business, which is where I have the competitive analysis for things like the colony sim games that I'm going to be analyzing. Actually, I analyzed all these already. The grand strategy games, which I'm in the middle of analyzing. And so that's kind of what I'm. This is kind of what it is, and there's obviously the business objectives and stuff like that. So this is one of them. There are we have confluence pages for all of them. So like this is the Chronicles of Elyria one, which you guys have seen before. And again, it talks about the character management, how we are managing your user accounts, all of the procedural world building stuff, and then the UI UX. Under game mechanics, it lists really the comprehension of all of the previous things we've talked about, whether or not it's agriculture, contracts, characters, and other things like that. So this is the kind of the granddaddy of all of them. The things that are in the Kingdoms of Elyria design documents, which it's kind of in flux right now, was originally kind of all of the stuff was listed in here, but then I started moving them back and consolidating them into the Chronicles of Elyria one when I was working with some other team members, just to make sure that it was clear. So if I click on agriculture now, right, so the source of truth, definitive information relating to the mechanics, behaviors, events, and data that together simulate the agriculture of Elyria is located in the Chronicles of Elyria wiki space in the agricultural space specifically. And so these all, I think, pretty much at this point are just forwarding things. NPC interaction. Yeah, we didn't necessarily forward all of them. So what is mostly in here at this point are like, some of them are links back over to the other documents. Some of them are not. But a lot of them, what is in this one are the things that are different between Kingdoms of Elyria and Chronicles of Elyria, by and large, because that's what this one was originally for, was kind of like the design for Kingdoms of Elyria. So I started in this document and kind of moved it back into the COE one, so people knew as I was doing Kingdoms of Elyria that I was actually also doing Chronicles of Elyria, because I think that's one of the things that like confuses people, that they're all one set of mechanics. And so that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to quickly show the work breakdown structure, is even though I have under the gameplay mechanics these sorted by the different experiences, the point is that Chronicles of Elyria is complete when the entire design of the game is complete, amongst the other things. And within the design, we have the gameplay mechanics, the UI and UX, the narrative components, as well as all the game data and modeling and stuff like that. And within the gameplay mechanics, these are obviously then broken down. But the point is that all of them have to be done, which means that they are fundamentally a building block for Chronicles of Elyria. And this is where we started the adventuring mechanics. So that's when we were working largely as a whole team. This is what I had been working on with and without teammates for the last like 2 years. And this is where I'm at right now. So these are not empty, and they are going to be picked up and used at the appropriate time. So for example, when I get Kingdoms of Elyria domains out, the amount of time would be required to get settlements out is actually going to be significantly less than it otherwise would have been, because a lot of this stuff is already either designed or implemented or both. So anyways, that's that. Let's see. The next thing I wanted to quickly do, as I showed you guys yesterday, let's see. Change directory, soulbound, engineering, tools, no, platform, tools. Let's see. Change directory, Elyria gen. Oops. All right. Let's see. This is Node. So one of the things I mentioned before is that this was originally implemented in Node, which is a JavaScript-based technology, which is what all of Chronicles of Elyria was based on initially. That's part of what I'm migrating right now. Yeah, so that's one of the choices I regret the most. It wasn't actually... Okay, it's not that it wasn't my choice. It was a choice made by my lead engineer and one of the senior engineers, and I was kind of backed into a corner where I either needed to fire them or show them that I trusted them. And I opted to be supportive and show that I trusted them. And that was a mistake. As I mentioned before, it's because I abdicated the responsibility of making the decision rather than delegating. And a lot of that came from the fact that although I had been a lead before, I had never been a director. So I'd never been a leader of leaders. And so that there's a special balance between making sure that your leads can effectively do their job while also not abdicating your role as a director. That's a lesson I have since learned, and the latter parts of that process went significantly better. But anyways, npm start. There we go. So as I mentioned in the thing before, our entire world generation pipeline was a series of discrete tools. And those tools were designed to be used kind of one after another. So the first one we had was this one, which is Elyria Gen, which is our continent generation tool. And so, the first thing is that you specify a seed. And so this seed has right now 7 continents because I have set the number of continents to 7. And so I can kind of move those around however I want to. But you'll notice that they're just blocks right now. They're various shapes within the Voronoi diagram. And so then I need to do the drift seed in order to do anything with this. Now, so the drift seed is one of the things that makes our world generation system different from really any other games. And that is, I tried to, as much as possible, create our world create Elyria the way our world was created. So if I hit drift, you can see that what it's actually doing is it's changing where those objects are and kind of what their orientation is. So like I can, set various levels of drift and it'll keep, advancing however I need to. But even that is not really good. All that does is allow these like tectonic plates to collide with each other, which is what this is doing. You can think of each of these as like tectonic plates. So until I create a continent out of those tectonic plates, it doesn't actually do anything. But if I create a subcontinent out of this, then you can see that it's able to combine those into unique ways. So all of these combine to create this, while this creates this, and then this one down here creates this. So this is kind of like the ability to go through different seeds and showing different things. So you can see each of the different continents there that would exist according to this map and according to the seed. But even still, this doesn't look like a full set of continents yet. But the one thing I like the most about it is because if you were to take these and push them together, they would more or less fit together. And the reason why is because that initial set of 7 continents was created by taking a single square and breaking it up along the Voronoi edges. So these were, for better or worse, all put together into a single shape at one point. And so you get this idea that somehow or another, like this was over here and this was down here, you kind of get this idea that it was continents that drifted, which I think is really cool. And so then there's the coastlines, which allows you to make the next step into getting the fractal erosion. So if I do this, it turns into this. And this is how we created our continents. This obviously just randomly creates different things, but it does create some pretty cool things. So I'm gonna, I can go through all of these, and even just this initial seed, because of the way it's organizing the continents, can result in what I think is some pretty cool variations. That kind of gives you all kinds of different things, which is pretty awesome. And then this obviously has the most impact because this is the continent seed. So just kind of going through this, you're going to get some pretty significantly different maps. And you can also, like I said, you can change the number of continents. So if I go down, it will give me fewer continents to begin with. I can also change the scale of those. So instead of 0.6, I can go 0.5, or I can go 0.9. But we tended to go around 0.6 is what we found was the nice happy medium for this. And so now, I can move these around some more and you get a further sense of what is happening here. I really dig this one, actually. That's kind of cool. That one's nice. Ooh, that one's nice. That's got a nice big lake in the middle. So anyone noticing how the number of continents doesn't even correspond with what shows up as the world generation? I don't know what you mean. Can you elaborate? Yeah, so if you're talking about the number of continents, if I set the drift back to 0, you can see that there are 6 individual tectonic plates. And those 6 tectonic plates are smashed against each other in order to create overlap. So you can think about it as plates going under or over each other. And that's what results in larger continents. Incidentally, along those collision points is where we get mountain ranges. So that's kind of another thing. Let me see, actually. I still have my wiki open. Let's go to the Chronicles of Elyria wiki. World. Where was that? If I search for, I wonder if I search for map H. Map H. I don't remember where I was storing this at. Map voting. Here we go. Map voting. Map voting rules. Map voting criteria. Server map voting. Map voting rules. The design for it. I'm trying to see if I have somewhere in here the codes, the orientations that were stored for these. So that's the map voting rules. Basically, I was going to show you what map H was and how it ended up becoming map H, along with the other maps as well. Okay, server map voting. I know it's around here somewhere. I just don't know if we deleted them at some point when we didn't need them anymore. So I would have to search. It doesn't. Oh, wait, voted maps. Oh, here we go. Ooh, I can't show you that one. I don't know which of these maps are actually related to our final maps, so I got to be very careful about showing these. Oh, but there's a spreadsheet. Okay, here we go. Map H. Bound personal ratio settings 64, 53, 81, 664. I don't remember what that entails. I think that's the orientation of the different continents. I wish I had saved the actual values from the property sheet here so that I could show you. I assume that clicking on this document's not going to take me there. It does, but again, it shows me what the continents are and not the actual division of those. So that's unfortunate. Okay, well, I'll have to look and see if I can find those later on, but that should. Oh, you know what? Actually, we added some additional values later on. What is seed 64? Drift seed 53. Subcontinent 81. Setting 66. Coastline 664. No. All right, so it must be. Did I change this or the number of continents? I don't remember. I would have to actually go through and look at it a little bit. So I'll play with it and see if I can find it. But anyways, so the idea here though is that you can see that obviously these do not create the maps like what we have in Chronicles of Elyria, along with the maps that we already have. So the reason why that is the way we did that is I modified this tool so that it actually would output to file. I may actually have that still in the code. But what it would do is output the map to a file, and it would analyze the image that came out of it. And what it would actually do is it would determine how many continents there were, how far apart they were, whether or not there was a single continent that was larger than a certain size that had a specific dimension. So like it was a certain width and a certain height. And then whether or not it was at the right place in longitude and latitude. And it would output like 1,000 of those, 10,000 of those, and then any of them that matched the criteria got saved into a separate file. And that's where this ultimately comes from. So this was all of the map voting stuff that we did. And so this gives us additional information like what the ratio of with the height was, whether or not we were going to keep it, what the settings were for that one, and the public names that we exposed when we did the original map voting. So that guaranteed that all of the maps that we got looked roughly the same. And that was why we wanted to do that. Now, when I say roughly the same, that just means that one continent had the similar dimensions and was in the similar place within the longitude and latitude, so that we would get roughly the same biomes. That says nothing about the continents around it. So just to reiterate, Chronicles of Elyria has multiple continents. As does Kingdoms of Elyria. Both of those are going to have multiple continents. So you're not going to find them in Chronicles of Elyria until you develop the right technology and set sail and do all that. But obviously in Kingdoms of Elyria, you're likely to find that faster because it develops 4 times, or time passes 4 times as quickly as it does in Chronicles of Elyria. So yeah, just wanted to show you that. What we would do from this then is we take all of our latitude and longitude. There was some files that we input into this. Ignore source. Let me open up another terminal. Change directory, soulbound. I don't want to cancel my window yet. Platform, tools, Elyria gen. Change directory source. Yeah, so there was other things like the temperature bands that we would then use to generate where the bands of temperature were across this. Where's the map go? There it is. Across the image that we had, and then that would be imported into not WorldForge. There was another external tool that we used, which would then take the latitudes and longitudes as well as additional information that we would pipe into that, and it would run its algorithm in order to find out where the different continent or where the different biomes were going to be inside of that starting continent. And then from there, we had other tools like parcel gen, and parcel gen would then take that map of the different biomes and it would break it up into parcels and settlements. And then we had like name gen, which is what we use to generate all of the names for our different domains and settlements. We also had the river flow tool, which is the simulation that we ran over that map, which would then generate where all the rivers were and kind of what the flow was. And that was kind of how we built those initial maps. All right. Let's go from there. So I'm going to just read over the comments real quick since I haven't been paying attention to them yet. And then I'll move on to finishing up the competitive analysis for CK2. So let's see. the only reason why this list is empty is I don't see anything ticked as completed, despite a lot of it being designed a long time ago. Yeah, it's not all ticked because most of those are, I guess, what you consider not temporary like designs, but I have not gone through that since I just created this maybe a year or so ago. It was all inside of the web before, in that blog that I showed you, or in the wiki. And so this work breakdown structure was something that I did more recently. I actually just haven't gone through and marked off the design on these. So I could actually go through and mark off many of the, not the domain ones, many of the settlement ones. I could mark off the adventuring ones. I'm pretty sure. I don't know that there's many adventuring things that weren't, like, we already did the world interaction stuff. Most of those were already seen in the pre-Elyria client. So yes, I could actually go through it and check off most of them. I just haven't yet. As far as the engineering side, engineering is complete when the Soulborn engine is complete, as well as when Kingdoms of Elyria is complete, and as well as when Elyria Adventures is complete, because each of those have corresponding engine work that, or engineering that needs to be done in each of those. So like if I click on the Soulborn engine, I get this thing, which is the one that you guys have probably seen before. Animated physics, terrain, event queues. Maybe I delete. No, so yeah. So the distributed entity component system, the C# library, the server platform. Some of those are already grayed out at lower levels because you guys have seen those already grayed out. I don't know why they're not grayed out here. Game engine complete, animation, physics, all that stuff. Entities, localization, spatial partitioning system. Like, I know the terrain stuff is, I don't know if this has got like reverted, but this stuff is almost all done. Like the edge and portal stuff I've already got running. Yeah, this is all done. I'll have to update those. So I'll show it again in another day, but it's not accurate, I assure you. You guys have seen the portal stuff running as part of the YouTube videos I published last year. I don't know why that's actually not updated. But going back to this, when these things are all done, like Kingdoms of Elyria has its list here as well. Assets, content design, the gameplay mechanics for that one, the data and modeling, engineering complete specifically for this one, server client launcher client components that are remaining. So all those, basically, when all this is done, Chronicles of Elyria is done. So I'm working through all of these one at a time. Not all these are done, or not all of them are accurate. Actually, it looks like a lot of those were not updated. So I'll get to that. But yeah, the question was, why are they ticked off? Oh, the short answer to that is, I don't know. Some of those should be ticked off, but they're not. A lot of them, I just didn't feel like the design was necessarily complete enough that I was happy ticking it off. A lot of the design ones I decided not to tick off until people had gotten a chance to play test them, because I wasn't like 100% satisfied. So it's not to say there is not a design for them, but I didn't want to call those done until after like the first alpha, so that I could go through and like actually check those off. Because I knew that there was going to be time spent on iterating on those. And so if this is a work breakdown structure of all the work that needs to be done for Chronicles of Elyria to be complete, it doesn't make sense to call those mechanics done if I know there's going to be time spent iterating on them. That's probably the most significant reason for the design side. But you don't see a thing. Shows anything is being done. Give us a game. I'll show you more as we go along, Nova. Sincerely, there are lots of tools, lots of client stuff that I can actually show. This is mostly just to address some of the questions that people asked yesterday, so that I can get back to doing my analysis. I see on mobile, I didn't see boxes at first, just the dots. How do you handle feature creep while developing? Tech to teach game design at a college, and I thought would be helpful, especially with a game as ambitious as this. I kind of mentioned this before, but everything that exists in our design, our blog, let me go back to Wiki Soulbound right here. So pretty much everything inside of this has existed for a very long time. This isn't a question of like, as I add things, it's just a matter of going through and implementing. None of this stuff has been added in so long. I think most of these mechanics, the last implementation on them was, or updates to many of them was like 2018, 2019. So at this point, there isn't really any feature creep. Any feature creep that we had was done a long time ago. It was mostly done over the like 15 years that I was working on the design of it. And then I cooled down a lot too, for what it's worth. I don't think it was ever particularly handled. We actually didn't have really much feature creep. I know people said we did, but the team members will tell you that we locked in the design and the scope of what the game was going to be fairly early, and then it was just a matter of digging down and implementing the low-level designs. So, have you ever been on a server a few years ago? Feature creep was one of the reasons the game didn't exactly launch. It actually was not. I keep telling people we haven't changed the design at all. Not unrealistic to expect release pre-alpha in 24. Okay. CK2. To be fair, I do recall the Kickstarter, which we can still all go and view at any time, saying it was already in an alpha state as of the end of 2016. An alpha state at the end of 2016? Oh, you're talking about one of the updates, not in the original announcement. Okay, yes. So in 2016, we had the Prologue the Awakening alpha, and we began working on the backend server in 2017. And I think it was around the middle of 2017 where we had our first playable alpha. That was okay. Technically, it was the friends and family. It was not a full playable alpha, and we were initially going to just let everybody jump into it as it was, but people had already started saying like not enough progress was being made, and so letting everyone jump in on what was effectively just a server engine and the ability to run around in 3D space without a lot of gameplay mechanics in it yet, because it needed to be done on the backend server rather than in the client, didn't feel like it was going to be beneficial to anybody. And so we delayed it, and then we spent a lot of time working on the game mechanics, which is ultimately what turned into the Elyria client. And the rest is history. Is the game set to still launch towards the end of 2024 or no? So I think I answered this question before, but Kingdoms of Elyria will launch when it's done. I'm not making commitments anymore because it's just me, and I have a truck number of 1. So if I have issues, I have to go out of town, I get sick, then even if I'm sick for a week, it pushes it back a single week. Obviously over the summers, I have to use more time being with the kids. They're in fact on spring break right now, and I'm busy ignoring them. So I don't feel comfortable giving an actual date. That being said, a lot of the work of this is done. The platform and the back end is nearly complete at this point. I'm not really spending any more time on the engineering side on the platform. So I'm solely focusing on the game mechanics right now, which is a lot of the reason why I'm just doing this competitive analysis, kind of going through and seeing how my mechanics compare to theirs. This is where we're at. I can't change. Will KOE Online be multi-continent? Yes, all of KOE will be multi-continent. What's the purpose of that? COE had a fixed world, or is this for KU? KOE has a variable set of worlds because there will be the ability for people to play it single player or locally multiplayer. So I need to be able to procedurally create those worlds offline. COE has fixed worlds. Right now there are 4, but there may end up being more. So we'll have to generate more servers if there is a sufficient player base. But you are correct that the 4 servers for COE already exist and have already been created. Continents, that was drift, number of continents. Be pre-life COE management. Is this for the entire world or only the world at server start? In KOE, we'll be able to play in the entire world, including undiscovered tribes. So in KOE, you will be able to play in the entire world, but I don't know if it'll be the undisclosed tribes yet. Reason being is that I don't have a lot of the art assets and stuff like that done yet. So I talked about needing to release some things at launch and then providing other things as a later update. So it may be that the tribes that are on the other continents will not be there initially. That doesn't mean the continent themselves and the biomes won't be there. It just means that the tribes themselves that require additional art assets and stuff may not be immediately available. That being said, depending on whether or not I do 2D models or 3D models, then it just becomes a data problem, and that's significantly easier. So it may still be that all of the tribes are there at launch. How much of the tech tree will KOE spoil, and how much will be left for COE players to discover? That's a great question. In theory, it would spoil all of it because we're using the same tech in both of them. So, you bring up a valid point, which is, if people actively play KOE, then they kind of already know the path for COE. And so one thing that would likely be done there is, since I'm operating at a higher level of abstraction, is kind of show what the overall progression is. We're not going to list the tech tree, so it'd be up to people to kind of play through KOE and figure out how they go. But we might be able to put those at a higher level of abstraction that doesn't use all of the same recipes and stuff as COE does for certain technology and advancement. And so that might make it a little better, but it's a good call out. I mean, as written right now, if you discover it in KOE, you're discovering it in COE as well. All right. Take a drink of water. Jeez. All right, let's get on to something else now. Thanks for chilling on that for a bit. I again just wanted to kind of show you guys some stuff. All right, so now let's go back and finish up on Crusader Kings 2. All right, I actually need to. Chronicles of Elyria. So this is the stuff that we've done so far. That as I've been taking notes, and you can see that down here there are other areas that I still need to explore, but I'm not planning to do those until I've done a first pass on all of the listed grand strategy games, up to and including the world generation stuff or world setup, game setup, the UI, and the map, which is kind of the area where I'm going to stop today, just to make sure that as I then move into implementation of Kingdoms of Elyria domains, I will have had a chance to validate at least my map and UI design plans and kind of the features that are exposed through the UI. And so then I can jump into implementation and people don't have to wait for me to get through all of these before I start implementing. So you'll be able to see it happen layer by layer. So I'm going to move this off to the side so that I can write in it. Let me go down to the map area. So you can see I'm just going down to where it says map. All right, and then there are questions here. So I'm going to talk about these a little bit, or I'm going to ask the questions and answer them, and then we'll move on to Crusader Kings 3. So let me go ahead and start Crusader Kings 2, which as you can see I've now had 103 hours of. Yeah, so the suggestion was to make the tech level of KOE set earlier than COE. And so, it would be set around 0 of the 4th age, and you'd play through from the 0 of the 4th age to some later date. And if I set it up like Crusader Kings does, or actually like all the Paradox games where there's a starting year and then a maximum ending year, I could actually do that because we already know what the starting year is. All right, so let me go ahead and just play a game again. Oh, wait, no, this is not. All right, single player. Oh, God, right, I can't. Okay, 1 second. I have to move this up a little bit because Linux game development. Actually, this is just an old game, so I mean, it's not that bad. That's good enough. All right, single player, new game. We'll just pick, I think it was in 936. Custom game setup. I was playing over here. There we go. Play, start game. How long do I expect the players to take to move through the tech tree in COE? Ideally, there's no upper bound to that, so I'm gonna say probably the 10-year story. It's just a matter of like how far into the tech people get. Okay, so I'm only working on the map right now. We've kind of talked over all the UI, or I've analyzed the UI already to my happiness. So graphics. So map graphics. There is rendered water. Rendered water. There is rendered terrain. I'm gonna say 2.5D. It's not actually 2.5D rendered terrain, but I'm gonna call it that. I also, under camera controls and angles, I can zoom in. Oh crap, wrong button. There we go. Camera controls and angles. I meant to do bulleted list, not whatever that was. All right, give me that back. Man, I hate Confluence. All right, so zoom in and out. Cannot rotate. Also under the rendering, I'm going to say low res trees in quotation marks are being rendered. Low res trees rendered. This is not what we're going to do. I can already tell you this is nothing like what I'm planning to do. But it does give me a chance to understand the minimum bar. Also, there are, we'll call them settlements, in quotes, rendered, settlements rendered. There is also domain borders. I guess domain, to be technical. Domain borders are being rendered. There's also flowing rivers rendered. There is a cloud map that is rendered. You can kind of see that going over top, which is a kind of an old trick. I actually implemented this once in like 2003. I implemented an RTS. It was for Liquid Entertainment. And one of the things I did was add the cloud map so that you could actually see the clouds passing over the RTS terrain. All right, so what else do we have here? There are names, domain names. There are coat of arms for settlements / realms. Okay. It's probably important to note that the seas are also named. Seas are named. Actually, I'll just say bodies of water. Bodies of water are named, which I do like. Okay, I should point out at maximum zoom. At max zoom, no animations for water or rivers, no settlement, no domain names. Only de jure kingdom names are shown. It looks like there is also mountains, sort of. So there is some mountains, some quote unquote mountains are rendered, but only at an extremely small scale. And what I mean by that is, up here, there's probably some hills and valleys and all that stuff in here, but they're virtually not recognizable. The only time you can actually see things that are renderable on the terrain is when there's a giant hill or mountain or something like that. So obviously there are areas down here where you would expect to see them, but it does not appear as though kind of like there is more of that hilly stuff like that, or at least not in a usable way. Bounded timeline acting as a prequel. Perhaps the player could go 100 years into Sui tech tree as a preview. Surprised that you planned out the entire tech tree ahead of time because I assumed you would be revising it as you go. No, we don't have the entire tech tree planned out. That was kind of what I was saying. Like, we have a lot of the earlier tech tree stuff set up, but no, we don't have nearly enough to go the full 10 year. The whole point of that was that as players are choosing to do research in certain areas, then it gives us the ability to put some time and energy into designing down that tree. Because there would just be like an infinite number of mechanics that we would need to design for to add new functionality for like every technology that people could investigate and develop. So no, it is not fully designed by any stretch of the imagination. All right. Is there anything else that I want to kind of point out here? I already talked about there are domain borders. I'm going to put different colored / checkered to make different borders more clear. I think that is it. There's not a lot to the map rendering in this game. We've got mountains, we've got rivers. Okay, there also is, let's say, material rendering. So terrain materials. Show materials. Show biome like desert versus woodland. And it looks like there are also some plains, woodlands, plains, etc. Location names? Yeah. Yeah, I had them as like I wrote it as domain names. I don't know if those are specific locations. If you're talking about like settlements, I don't think I have settlement names currently turned on. That doesn't mean you can't do it. It's just not the default. All right. So camera controls, you can zoom in and zoom out. You cannot rotate. You can also pan, and you can use the mini map to navigate. You also have the scroll to edge thing, which I don't have right now because I'm running in windowed with the full screen on, which is fantastic because that was super annoying. But you can also use edge of screen panning. I know some people like that. I'm not too big a fan on this style of game, just because you spend most of your time within the immediate area around you. And so I'm going to be moving my stuff around on the map, especially if I'm very zoomed in. I'm going to be doing this a lot. Ah, now I did it. Crap. So it doesn't do it at all zoom levels. Nope, it's doing it now. It's only doing it in one direction right now. Oh yeah, so that would be under information. So like the information for the county is actually based on information, which is a second section. So if I actually look down here, you can see information real time versus full. The idea is that you can actually get information in real time, or excuse me, you can get full information even if your character wouldn't actually know that. So like supply limits and stuff like that, there's no way I would know that without actually sending somebody over there. Okay, so fog of war versus full map though, that is the next question to answer, which is you get full map. So you can see every single domain and individual duchies and counties and stuff like that, even having no information about them. So fog of war versus full map. For this one, there is full map, which I do not plan to do for Kingdoms of Elyria, either domains or settlements. Full map. Okay, we already talked about map movement, so you can pan, you can use the minimap. I need to move that down to a lower section down here because I had it listed under the camera controls rather than travel and map movement. Okay. And then filters, those are actually listed above because we already covered them as part of the minimap. So I'm going to just say under the filters, I'm going to say see the minimap UI for filters. And then I can right click and left click. So that was another control I need to add in. So I will add that. Camera controls, you can left click the map to see like leader. Nope, left clicking is the domain information. See domain information. And right click is leader information. Yeah, so that shows me the leader, and then this shows me the individual domains. Okay, so that looks pretty much it. All right, so an expanded view. Oh, it's just your provinces. All right, so that gives me a solid idea. Oh, there's also highlight for, let's see, under rendering, glowing highlight around the currently selected domain. That's a nice thing to know. I think that's pretty typical. I don't think I have it set to glowing right now, but I think that actually looks pretty good. We'll have to see. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and update this. And now I'm going to, I already have the outline that we talked about before. So I'm gonna close this. We are done with CK2, at least for now, with respect to the features that I've already been looking at. So you can see I've moved over to Crusader Kings 3. I took a screenshot of this a long time ago. See what is the page history on this? 2021 was when I originally did this page. Yeah, and June of 2021. Okay, so in June of 2021 is when I created this page, which was not long after I think the game shipped. But anyways, but the point of that is that we already have our questions and placeholders and stuff laid out, so I can begin the analysis on that. This is not in the same order that I had it before, so I need to jump around a little bit or move it to the correct location. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. You can see that I only have 30 minutes of play on Crusader Kings 3. I'm also going to go through this one a lot quicker than I did Crusader Kings 2, just because a lot of this I know already, and I've shown you that it's stuff that we've already explored. So I'm probably just going to point out the differences that I see between Crusader Kings 2 and 3, and that was really the reason for doing CK2 versus CK3 anyways, so I could see the differences between them and see where Paradox chose to improve, in part so that I would know like what they felt players were asking for or what they felt like new technology allowed them to do, which is not the minimum for us, because in theory we could put out something that is not based on the minimum bar like Crusader Kings 3, but we probably want to do something at least like Crusader Kings 2 in order to feel like we're shipping something that is genuine and valuable. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play, accept, processing Vulkan shaders. All right, I'm gonna take a nap now. Nope. All right. Okay. Why not? Okay. So I'm going to edit this UI. Did I have a section? Where is the section for launcher? I think it's just under the UI. Let me. It effectively has the same launcher as CK2. With playsets, you can play. You've got video tutorials. You've got the ability to set the game settings and mods and DLCs and stuff like that. So it's basically a typical launcher. So I'm just going to say typical launcher. Prettier than the previous one. I mean, that's objectively true. All right, I'm going to go ahead and jump in now. Cool story. I guess I should point out that when I played it that 30 minutes before, it was on Windows, because I think in 2021 I was still using a Windows development environment, and now I'm a pure Linux development environment. Okay. Force quit. All right, it did it for me. I was gonna have to go into the equivalent of Task Manager. All right, well that's not great. Oh, it looks like it's updating. Why did it let me launch it if it was busy updating? That's fun. All right, well at least it's updated now. So let's try again. Like, why didn't it do that from the launcher? I'm gonna cry. Okay, let's cross our fingers and hope that it was just the shitty update that from playing last time. Otherwise, I'll have to save this research for moving to Windows. I'll have to install it on my game partition. But dual boot. Okay, so that's not helping. Son of a. Tried to gracefully end it. Nope. All right, you're dead. Okay. Interesting. Does it still have the launcher open? I don't think I saw the launcher that time. Cancel. I'm gonna close down Steam real quick. I just want to make sure that any child processes that it launched are also gone, because it may be that the launcher also was needing to update and that didn't work. So let me see. I don't think I have any more Let's see, Paradox or CK3 Windows open. MNO node pipeline. I don't see any Paradox products. CK3, I don't see anything of that open either. All right, so let's try reopening. And if this doesn't work, I'll have to move on to a different game for now until I can come back and get CK3 working on Windows probably. Or I can try doing a reinstall. I mean, it's supposed to be able to play on Linux. It's got native Linux support. It's not even running the the Steam adapter for Linux. Yeah. So Crusader Kings 3 is under the Linux supported. All right. This computer. Wow, you can play it on a tablet? That sounds horrible. All right. Please, pretty please launch. Okay. What let's see what settings I need to do. Receive beta versions of launcher? No. Go to accounts, export. Okay, that was not helpful. Playlist, none. Come on, Paradox. Let's do this. You're not doing it. Okay, looks like I'm gonna have to try a full install again of that at some point in order to get a chance to play CK3. And if that doesn't work, I'm gonna have to move on to installing it on Windows so that I can get a chance to look at that. Okay. That's unfortunate. Let's see if it gives me the ability to kill it after a moment. There we go. Just quit. It actually was doing something that time. It was like, I wonder if it was doing it some kind of like long build of the assets or something. I hope that because I'm using Linux, I wonder if it was like trying to do stuff. That's kind of weird. All right, we're gonna move on to something else then. So let's see. I guess we'll take a look at. I'm sure most of the people in here are not Dominions fans, but probably the Paradox fans. So I'll skip Dominions from now and take a look at Europa Universalis. Let me grab the template real quick. Hopefully that one runs. I honestly haven't tried running that on Linux either, so this may be a short call today. All right, so I've got that updated. Outline is added. I've never taken a screenshot of the title or the launch screen, so I'll have to do that as well so I know what I'm looking at. All right, let's go and see if this works. So I've only played this for 4 minutes ever, back in 2021. And it was for sure on Windows as well, because that's all I had back then. So let's okay, let's hope. I'm not gonna say always use this option because I don't know if I'm gonna come back and do multiplayer later. But for now, I'm just gonna say play Europa Universalis. No, I did the Vulcan thing. Oh God, it's the same launcher. I mean, that makes sense, right? Because that's the whole point, is to have a single launcher for all of those. So hopefully it's not something like the Vulcan settings or something that I'm using. All right, so we're gonna try this. Please work. Oh, there's also game settings. Nope, there's not. Okay. Oh, that's much better. Creating checksum. Universalis! New features. Okay, I don't care because I'm not doing this for the first time as a new player. All right, so let me open up the UI stuff and the game setup, map, research technology, world setup. There it is, game setup. All right, I'm just gonna quickly go through this. Game setup. This needs to be changed to heading 2. No, really. Come on. Okay. Game setup. I'm gonna make some notes. Single player and multiplayer choices. Makes sense. There's also a tutorial. I'm gonna actually call that start. Main menu. Main menu has the single player and multiplayer choices. There's the option to do a tutorial, credits, options, exit, And then there's the various social media links. Social media links. Do they still call it Twitter? They do. All right. And then login support. All right. So if I go in, let's see, just take a look at the options. It was the one I looked at before. So we'll see what kind of options they have. Options menu. Limited game options. Limited gameplay options. Video. Again. Oh, they got more this time. So there is more options. Gamma. Display full screen. You still can't pick what monitor you want to be on, but it's windowed mode, so I don't particularly care. All right, so standard video options. Nothing special there, I don't think. Audio. God, I still can't pick my output device either. All right. Low audio, limited audio options. No ability to override system default output device. Controls. Again, there is no key map. Controls, no key map. And then accessibility. Multiplayer chat visual alerts, multiplayer chat large fonts. Okay. I guess that's accessibility. I mean, they don't support color blindness or readers or anything like that, but sure. Accessibility, we'll call that that. All right. Autosave interval, autosave to cloud, compress autosaves, rich presence. All right, we're just gonna go back. And then I'm not gonna explore multiplayer, so let's just go on to the single player setup. Okay, so I have a similar problem to what I had before, which is I can't really see the whole screen, but at least now they fixed the problem with buttons. I can actually hover over the right buttons. So that's a start. I'll have to later on drag this and see if there's things that are hidden that I don't know about. So historical start, save game starts, and then all of the expansions, which are already quite a lot. That is their business model though, so makes sense. Oh, you're gonna do that to me again, aren't you? All right, so back to game setup. Game setup screen. What do we have? We have the left box includes start time, starting period, as well as individual start dates, individual, as well as chosen expansions, which I don't have any for this game. I'm sure there are some free ones online. I just don't have. I haven't gone on and tried to download them because I've never played this. Not really. All right. Then there are the game options, which I assume are just the game options we saw before. Okay, great. Back. All right. So looking at the top, there are again filters. Oh, okay. Top, middle, there is filters, and that includes terrain. I'm guessing it's going to be pretty much similar to what it was before. Political, trade, that's a new one. Religious. I'm hoping to see more trade on this one then. Imperial. Diplomatic, development. I'm going to quickly click on all those in a minute. Regions and culture. So many of the same ones from before, not all of them. So it's clear that they value kind of the same things. So this shows me all of the terrain. And I'm not going to focus on the map just yet. I just wanted to see what that shows. The political basically shows all the domain boundaries. Trade. Those must be trading partners. So like it looks like English Channel trading route. Yeah, so these are all like trade stuff. Religious, you're gonna have mostly Catholic and Orthodox. Yep, okay. So it's same thing as before. Imperial. Straits of Oxford. I don't know what the imperial map means, because it looks like, I mean, I guess it's just showing empires, and there's only one empire right now. All right, well, diplomatic. Okay, nothing really yet. The various regions.
The imperial map shows the HRE, the Holy Roman Empire.
Hold on. I have your volume down. 1 second. Repeat that.
The HRE shows the Holy Roman Empire. And I'm not sure you even have all buttons because I don't see the custom nations button on the right side where it's usually above random nation.
Crap. I'm gonna actually mute the channel. The audio. Actually, no. Hold on. This is what I need to do. I hadn't done this yet. Game options, audio, off. Okay. Sorry. Repeat that one more time. I couldn't hear you even with that.
So I don't even know if you see everything. I'll look myself, but usually there's a custom nation options in Europa Universalis around the random nation button on the right side, or down the right side.
Yeah, I'll get there in just a second. I'm gonna explore this next, and then culture, obviously. So those are all the same thing. All right. So let's get to the top right. All right. So here we have Rule Britannia, Common Sense, American Dream, Colonial British and French Unit Pack, Emperor Music Pack. So these are also expansions? Yeah. So it looks like they just are the ones you own over here and the ones you don't own over here. Dominion.
I'll have a look. Give me a second.
Close. All right. So I'm gonna assume for the time being that that's list of owned expansions, which is fine. I don't really care about expansions. And then there is your government rank, technology group. So these are all the things that would help you decide if you want to play in that location. There is also your coat of arms. Yeah, I know. You're going to go scrolling. Okay. Nope. No, you're not. Coat of arms. Religion. All right. And then there is the domain name. Kingdom, independent nation. Domain type.
Kingdom, actually the rank. So you have Duchy, Kingdom, Empire. And because there's also this option to start as under a personal union or vassal, there's also the information for independent nation.
Got it. Domain type. There is your leader. Administration, diplomatic, and military skill. Skills. Oh, so there's I'm guessing there's 6 skills in this one. Those are probably administrative skill, administrative level. Nope, so that's skills and levels. So that's a different thing.
The skills is basically additional points you get for the nation, and below is the tech level. Administrative, diplo, and military tech.
Got it. Diplomatic, administrative skill, diplomatic skill, and military skill. Military skill. And then these are the levels. I'm going to put technology in parentheses, and I'm going to say administrative, diplomatic, and military. All right. And then ideas. So traditions.
So basically, you have starting ideas, and with more with more idea groups you unlock and develop, the more you get in the lower parts of those stuff, and then you have a final bonus in the end.
Got it. Country. Okay, so I'm not going to focus yet on what the country ideas are in specific, just the fact that they have country ideas, and I'll have to play through in order to get a sense for that, but I'm not going to worry about that yet. So, country size, development, and fort level. Yay. Country size, development, and fort level. And then there is the starting diplomatic state. Starting diplomatic state. All right. And then on the bottom middle, I'm not going to worry about the bottom left. That seems pointless. These are interesting choices. So it's just a collection of like interesting starting settlements. Interesting, or domains, starting domains, and their coat of arms, plus a description of why they're interesting. All right. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and keep England, because the point of this is not to really play, but to get a sense of what the UI and map looks like in game. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. Normal mode, play. All right, the Kingdom of England, country, religion, government, environment. So let me go back to the game setup. Post-launch screen contains information about your chosen domain, including, and there is country, religion, government, and environment. Cool. So country tells me a little bit the history of their religion, tells me about the unique elements of the religion. Government tells me what kind of government I'm using, monarchies, the council and heir, states, etc. And then the environment, authority, imperial reform. Probably, it looks like it's showing me the things I need to, this is how to home to rule that game, but largely divided in Germans. Their own diplomacy. Okay, so it sounds like it's just things I need to know about my neighbors and kind of like what the lay of the land is for this particular timeline. All right, so due to changes in your country, nobility will no longer have privileged English villanage. There's no effect on your country. Okay, that's fine. Let me go back here. Country, info about your country, religion, info about your chosen religion, government, info about your government type, and then environment, info about your neighbors and rules for the current timeline. Those are, I say types, info about, but that's really all just get the game mechanics that are relevant. Okay. So taking a look at this UI, there is stuff cut off right here, but all right, let me go through the usual process. All right, now we are up to the UI. So I'm going to move up to the UI. I did launcher, there's information menus, timescale controls, and minimap. I will do all those, but for now, I'm going to do HUD, and we're going to do, for the HUD, top left. So the elements on the top left HUD, there is the country view, the production interface, and government reform. So country view.
Actually, it's incomplete for you. I can share you a screenshot how it looks for me.
Production interface. And government reforms. All right, and then there is across the top, treasury, manpower, sailors, stability, corruption, prestige, legitimacy, power projection. And then there is colonists. Nope, those are roles. People, important people, or number of people in roles. I'm going to say people. All right, so now I need to write these down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll call it 8 different values. Yeah.
The last 4 you could say ages because usually you send them to either provinces or points. So you basically send them over the map.
I didn't quite follow that, but that's okay.
So the
I'll check in with you in a minute. I mean, I heard you. I wasn't following you because I haven't played this game before, so the context didn't make sense. So you can try repeating that again, and I will listen slowly. Say that one more time.
So basically, you have those four kind of people. Merchants you can send to trade nodes. They are like the thing on the sea with the dotted lines to there. So basically, you can send them there. The colonists, of course, you uncolonized regions, diplomats to other nations, and the missionaries to regions as well. So they are basically envoys and they have travel time.
Got it. Thank you. I'm actually going to call them envoys then, because that actually makes a lot more sense. All right, so top left though, I will hopefully be able to hover over these and get the values. I can, great. So there is treasury, then there is manpower.
Can you give me the rights to send a picture in this group, because there's one icon missing in there that's not a little bit small, but it also gives basically a view if I had an add-on over the 8 major powers in the world.
So there's an icon missing. So my UI is broken, or is it just that I don't have a specific expansion?
I guess it's with an expansion.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it then. I'm not worried about it right now. Prestige. The specifics of individual UI elements is not yet too much of an importance. I just want to know what they're tracking, kind of how they solve certain problems. Legitimacy is an interesting one. Power projection
can change to Republic tradition if you have a Republic, and to divinity if you have order.
All right, so then there are all of your envoys. I'm going to go ahead and put those in. We've got merchants, colonists, diplomats, and missionaries. So merchants, colonists. I forgot what it was already. Diplomats and missionaries. Kingdoms of Elyria, you will be able to send people, but they don't have a specific title like that. Also, they're named individuals and not just random numbers, because everybody that you interact with in Kingdoms of Elyria and Chronicles of Elyria are actual characters, not statistics. All right, and then the other thing you have here are your current power. So I'm gonna, God. All right. Power rankings, power values. We'll call it that, power values. And there is administrative. I'm seeing a pattern here. Diplomatic and military, or militaristic, military. All right. And then the current age. I'm guessing then that we progress through different ages. And then there is pre-advisors. Okay, so these are the alerts. So this happens now. What used to be up in the top left now happens in the top, or in the center middle happens in the top left. So there's like, I have too few rivals. I have a free advisor slot. There are successions disputed. I can do other things. Okay, so that's just, again, they put flags there so that I know what the things are that I need to address. So hold on, you can play as a theocracy in EU4. Yeah, so good. So I was planning to play Kingdoms of Elyria before the events of Chronicles of Elyria, but I was going to play it right up to just before. And so I hadn't considered before binding the technology to the technology that existed in Chronicles of Elyria. I was just going to kind of let it be open-ended so that there was the possibility of overlap. But I do like your suggestion of clamping, or the suggestion that was made, I don't know if it was made just by you, but clamping the timeline up to a maximum age and just say the game always ends at that point, and then allow for the development of certain technology. And even like what they do in, I assume, Europa Universalis, but certainly in Crusader Kings, giving the ability to have timed events that show up at certain times that corresponds with the events in the beginning of the Fourth Age. That would be really cool too, because I can get suggestions from the community that want to provide stuff, because I know there was a lot of like original story written for different settlements and domains and stuff, and I can't incorporate them like into the. I'm not going to be playing the servers here until Kingdoms of Elyria Legacies, but that doesn't mean I can't take some of the ideas that people propose that are interested in and incorporating them into historic events that happened in the Fourth Age, because we don't have every single event that happened in the Fourth Age determined yet, not by a long shot. We have very significant events in the Fourth Age, Third Age, Second Age, and First Age. We do have a timeline that goes all the way back into the First Age, but it's not. I think it's probably like 20 events total between the four ages currently. And some of which are things that we created as part of the events we did, like the Searing Plague, and the bees. What are they called? I forgot what they were called, but the bees, the story with the bees, the intro to the Teresk and how that worked in with the with Naran. So that story got integrated into our lore and became an important event. And the Searing Plague obviously became a historic event. Let's see. Okay, so those were alerts. I don't need to highlight that any further. Let's see what else we have on this top level HUD. So in the top right, what time is it? 3:27. All right. I should shrink this down a little bit because I need to be able to see what time it is. I have a hard stop just before 4. Let's see. Okay, so top level, there is the current date, the music control, current song, England gain, and your score. So game, current song, and score. Date, song, current score. And then there is your timeline controls and achievements and an outliner. I don't have any achievements right now, so that's not surprising. Events of Elyria Adventure allow people to experience or replay those events after they occur and see. Yeah, so Elyria Adventures has no distinct timeline. There will be Third Age by default, because that's kind of the story that I want to tell with that. But there is entirely likely to be Second Age stuff, Fourth Age stuff, and beyond. So you're not wrong. It wouldn't be as straightforward as just like taking it out of COE and putting it in Elyria Adventures, because of the way that the state is held. Obviously, COE is designed to be a persistent world, whereas Elyria Adventures is really just a like staged world with the ability to like change state for you and then progress along, similar to Guild Wars 1, if we even do it that way. That was kind of part of the design that we had discussed. There was really 2 designs. One was more of a single-player adventure game with maybe a small party multiplayer, but it was mostly the single-player adventure with the ability to create. It had to be multiplayer because we were going to allow you to create with the architect tool, the ability to, I guess we called it the adventure toolkit later on, the ability to create adventures that other people could play. So we would have to make it based around that state. But I do like the idea of releasing some of those events into Elyria Adventures, especially if people don't feel like they have a chance to participate in Chronicles of Elyria, either because they aren't old enough or they're not strong enough, or like their character's not developed enough yet in that particular life. They would have the ability to kind of just jump into Elyria Adventures and play it there, if we did that. So date, etc. Okay, so then I have my outliner, which has some important information in it as well. The outliner consists of my diplomats. Okay,
So
it's just my envoys. What's up?
Yeah, exactly. If you have envoys sent somewhere, they will be showing up there as well. So diplomats are always visible so that you see that they are free. Colonists will not be visible if you haven't sent them, and the missionaries also will not be there if you haven't sent them anywhere. If you have sent them anywhere, they will be there.
All right, and then there is filter messages. So there's a chat At least there's a message system. I don't know if in the multiplayer whether or not that would allow you to send messages to people. I kind of get the sense that it does. But that's in the bottom right. So I'm going to go back to the bottom right. Message box, minimap, and then a series of minimap buttons,
So
which I will
these
save for the minimap section.
They are fully customizable, those buttons. And you can
Okay.
put 2 on one and switch between them.
Good to know. All right, let's go up here to the minimap since I have that as a second item. I'm going to do the filter buttons around that just as its own thing there. All right, so there is terrain, political. So these are the filters. Trade. I'm actually going to put a note that these are filters. I did that above, but I'll do them here as well.
As I said, that they are full customizable, just look at the 4 blue buttons to the right because you'll have the full lists in there.
Yep. Imperial. So trade, imperial. Religious. And then there is the diplomatic. And then there's some that's probably pre-slot. And then you said there was like political, etc. And then there's the map. And then other beneath that, non-filter actions. There is menu, which is the main menu, the ledger. Hey, that's there in Crusader Kings also. History. Triggered modifiers. That'll be interesting to explore later. The find button, which is similar to the search for people. It's also in a bad place here. Hey, keyboard shortcuts. Why the hell do they have that here, but not inside of the controls, inside the settings menu? That's really interesting. All right, but there is a list of okay, stay. There are a list of hotkeys. And you do, as part of the minimap, have the ability to zoom in and out. All right, and that looks to be more or less the HUD. So, all right, so now there are a couple of other game screens. So I'm going to go over to
Caspian?
Yeah.
So usually what you will have on there at some way is the unrest map. Because it should be under the blue government symbol map. So you put them on there and customize what you want to have in there as main. But you always have over the blue buttons on the right side next to minimap. If you click on one of them, you get all the different map modes that are currently in on that section. So you have political map modes and all that in there. So all of those are different map modes.
Got it. All right, I'm going to make a note of that then. Let's see, go back to the mini-map menus. So there were the hotkeys, but up on the mini-map, there was, so these are like, if I click on political, so that's just whether it's terrain or political, and then this is a lot more that gives me the option to customize that. Okay, so I see. So I'm gonna call that additional customizable features. And there is a lot of them. I'm going to only put the high level ones. So there is political map modes. There are diplomatic map modes. There is economic map modes. And there is geographical map modes. So this is probably not going to be as important or not as relevant in Kingdoms of Elyria, insofar as you have hidden information, right? Most of the time you don't know about these things, and so the amount of information you have is going to be fairly limited. But you might still want a good way to filter based on the known world that information, but you have to understand or know that it's potentially going to be out of date because of the way things are designed to work in real time. So I'm a little hesitant to give map views like that, just because I know when you see when a UI pops up that says like stale data, or like most recently known population, most recently known this, you're like, okay, so this is invalid data potentially, but this is the last thing I knew. When you show a UI that has filters and the map changes colors and stuff like that, people are going to assume that that information is accurate and up to date. And so I'm a little concerned about trying to represent the map in Elyria in the same style that they do here. But that being said, it's good to know what things that they put in here, because even if I don't show these on the map, what that means is like these are the things that people care about. You know, what's the unrest in an area, like what the political alignment is in an area, you know, people's opinion of you, you know, where the federations are, who your rivals are, like all those are still things that could be displayed in a different way. That is information that at least in Europa Universalis people care about. Whether or not it'll make sense in Kingdoms of Elyria yet, I haven't mapped it across, but it's possible some of it will and some of it won't. The same thing with diplomats. You know, we will definitely have the ability to send out people. In fact, that's one of the most significant parts of the colony sim. So in Kingdoms of Elyria settlements, you only can increase the population of your settlement in two ways, which is you can get a citizen to come and join you from another settlement, meaning one settlement has to lose population in order to get another to gain population, or through reproduction. That's the only way the population changes for the positive inside of the colony sim component. And it'll be the same in the grand strategy component, but it'll be statistical. You know, you'll have one person disappear from one settlement and then they'll reappear in another settlement. They're not physically there like they are in the colony sim, but they will be statistically there. And so a big part of it in the colony sim component is building buildings, offering jobs, and doing things that are likely to entice other characters to come and join your settlement, or offering a higher pay, like a wage for the work that you do, offering better contracts. And so you can also send your citizens over to other settlements and act as a spy. They can go in incognito using the disguises and stuff like that, and they can gather information. They can also, you know, pass along gossip. They can let other people know about the jobs, the housing, and other stuff that's in your settlement. And that's one of the ways where you convince the other NPCs to come to your settlement. And so, you know, one of the things people are going to be doing when they're playing both in Kingdoms of Elyria settlements, once the settlements expansion comes out, or the settlements update, as well as Chronicles of Elyria, is they're going to be looking for players and NPCs that are in your settlement who don't belong there, and kind of making sure you know what they're up to. You know, it's going to be a little bit more abstract in the MMO because people are kind of running around and going and doing things. It'll be far more obvious in the colony sim because you're looking from a top-down view. So if you see someone come in from off-screen, they're a traveler. You know, if you can't hover over them and get their name, it means you don't know who they are. And then you can go over and introduce yourself using your character, or that they go into the tavern or something, then when they come back out, you may know their name because they may have passed it on to other people through introductions, which then made it to you. So yeah, that'll be a big part of the loop, is just, you know, having your colonists go out, or your settlers going, actually they're called citizens, having your citizens go out to other settlements. And so you'll definitely need a list of those. All right, I'm going to continue. I've only got about 10, 15 minutes left, so I'm going to go on and look at just the views. I may not even document these yet. In fact, I know I'm not. I probably don't have time yet. So I'm just going to update this. I'm going to save my
You're
document.
not completely done yet, because you still have on the lower right side next to the maps, you have to sign for the Holy Roman Empire and the Papal State. And usually if you have the add-ons, there would be sign for the Parliament for Great Britain as well. So those are basically interactions with bigger mechanics you are close to or part of.
And does this happen no matter where your domain is on the map?
Yeah, so if you're on the China side, you will have basically the Chinese system over there you can look into. And I think Tribal has a different overview because they in North and South America, because they have to progress first. So those are basically specific mechanics that are thrown into there where you actually have to advance more, or look to it more regular.
Got it.
The even has events that show up there where you have to vote on.
Got it. Imperial and the Papal. That's the Holy Roly Empire and the the papacy.
Yeah, and I with mods have the Parliament up down there as well, the English Parliament.
All right, so write that stuff down real quick. imperial information. All right, so when I dive into the UI for those more, I'll have to look at those in more detail. For now, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to start digging into some of these UIs a little bit more. I'm not going to be writing notes because I only have about 15 minutes. And so this is just going to be a first introduction for me. So I'm going to be looking at them, but not writing stuff down. And I'll have to continue doing that the next time I come in. So I can look at my court. I need to, let's see, can I make this windowed? Game options, video, display mode, full screen, windowed. Apply. You must restart the game for these changes to take effect. Why? Why must I do that? All you got to do is change the display adapter to be windowed. Okay. I cannot see what's over here now. It's cutting off part of my screen. All right. We're going to go ahead and exit to menu. Okay. Quit. Now, is it going to let me? It's still not going to be in window mode, is it? Nope. It wants me to fully shut down before it's going to give me windowed mode. Well, thank you very much. All right, exit. I need windowed mode so I can see the full map. Play. Having too many leaders will cost you military power each month. Interesting. Great. Now I am in windowed mode, and I can see the full left-hand side of the screen. I can't see the full right-hand side of the screen, but I can get back to that later on. So, does it still have the problem with screen offset? No, it does not appear to be. Okay, so not only can I do windowed mode now, but I can actually change it to be the actual size. Oh, they don't have a maximize button. And I can't change the resolution. Okay, hold up. What am I missing here? I'm in windowed mode now, but I have to set the resolution. I can't resize it automatically. Okay. Well, back. Fuck it. We'll just do it as it is. All right. I'll just have to scroll stuff around a little bit, and that's fine. All right. So single player, England, play. Achievements cannot be earned, play. Fine. I just want to look at the UI. Great. Okay. All right. So, as I was talking about before, there we go. So I'm just going to move that over there. Now I can see everything that's on the left-hand side of that. So land units. So the first thing here under production interface, you've got land units. That changes the map as well. Recruit mercenaries. Define army templates. Looks like origin local bin. Okay, so you can create units, or you can hire mercenaries now from different locations. So rather than it just being like hire mercenaries, you can actually hire mercenaries from one location or another, depending upon where that particular army is from. And then on this, okay, so this is just the top tab. So the land unit tab, there's also naval units, make corps, I don't know what that does yet, send missionary, fine. Local autonomy, particular rebels, particular, change their culture, name pale, Cornwall, culture to English. Okay. Coring provinces is how you add them. Okay, cool. Buildings, trade buildings, etc. So this is the ability, it looks like, to purchase those buildings. I'm guessing they're red because I don't have the cost to buy those yet. Yep. Holy sh. Okay, so those are all the different provinces, and then the states. All right, so this has a lot on a single tab. It's a little disorganized, actually. Some of these involve individual units. Some of it involves domains. Some of it is information-based. Some of it's building-based. I understand why they do that here for ease of use, but I'm not sure I would have taken that approach. Because it's all production, right? So that's why they did that. But I don't know that I would put that all in the same UI. All right, so similar to the one, you got your court view, which has all of your scores. There is technology, ideas, missions, decisions, and policy, civil stability and expansion, religion, military subjects and estates. So a lot of these correspond to some of the filters we've already seen. So there is your court and who your advisors are. And you've got advisors in the 3 areas that we talked about. So there's administrative, diplomacy, and military. And you've got a total power. Monthly power is increasing.
Okay, you don't see currently that you in add-ons you have the additional opportunity to actually select a focus that you can actually basically decide to go for more dip. So there are usually additional buttons for that. And because you don't have an hair currently and a consort, especially a hair, you can say the hair should replace the hair because there's a button for that as well. So you basically can do all that there.
Yeah. All right, the government. So that has its own layout and tab. The government is highly differentiated in terms of its UI. It's got the accepted and non-accepted. So you have more control over the different cultures, whereas in Crusader Kings, there's either like people in your culture or culture group, and that's it. You don't really have the ability to accept some and not accept others. But that's a nice.
The difference here is you are currently a kingdom. If you go to an empire, every culture in the same culture group will be automatically accepted, and you can spend those slots you have on other cultures as well.
Diplomacy. Okay. Opinions of the individual, relationships between them. Yeah, so this is interesting, the ability to accept or not accept cultures, or more specifically, it would correspond with like what the opinion of one culture is to another. Like how do the Dross feel about the Weird? I mean, they have the same religion, but they have different cultures, and they might have a certain feeling towards each other, like the Naren and the Hrothi versus the Hrothi and the Kipik. So this is a question of like, how would you go about adjusting or shifting an intended opinion? Like, can the counts or dukes or mayors like not enforce an opinion, but how do they slowly sway the opinion of the people inside of their group? So there may be something there in terms of mechanics.
There's also something else hidden on that page. If you go back on the country, if you go onto plus minus next to county modifiers, usually down there you see everything that's basically yeah, all the modifiers there are. This is not much relevant for KOE, but in the if you go back to the overview, usually in that box below, you see active county modifiers you've earned during the game or that are active, like events or anything that's overall. So you have an overview of what's influencing your nation right now as modifiers in this section.
Interesting. Okay. Neighbors, enemies, friends. Show opinions. Show diplomatic actions. Create a subject from some of your provinces. Economy. This is much better. I much prefer this view over what was shown for Crusader Kings. Raise war taxes. Yay! All right. Take loans. Excellent. Trade. So these are the different trade nodes that you've got with the different trade locations, the trade nodes. Technology. So you advance technology along these 3 axes. Which again would be very different in Kings of Elyria. Technology doesn't advance anywhere near the way most of these do. Will there be different cultures in COE within a tribe? Potentially you can make one, Luffy. As it is right now, there are some cultures that exist across tribes and vice versa. So there's some tribes that have their own culture. It's just kind of their shared set of beliefs and their opinions about things. And so by changing the culture, you can make modifications to what that tribe feels and believes. So yes, you can. I don't know what the exact mechanic of that is going to be yet. That's one of those that I say we collectively, back when there was the full team, had not gotten to the point of like deciding how culture was going to spread or affect others. Ornox, it's basically 1 minute. I'm leaving shortly. I gotta go take care of an errand. Decision. I'm just trying to get through this box so I can see kind of what the scope of the game is. stability and expansion, Catholic, religion, military, and estates. Okay. So yeah, so the good news is there does seem to be a lot to this game, even at the brief level that I've looked at, without even talking about government reforms and other things. So that's going to take me a little bit of time to kind of explore the mechanics at whole. So what I'll probably do before I kind of review the UI again is I will probably take a look at the UE4 wiki, or I'll watch some videos real quick just to kind of make sure I understand the scope of things that are happening in here before I do a review again. I don't feel like I have grokked anywhere near enough of this game to kind of understand, what the overall goal is, or the play experience, the main game loop. And so I would probably revisit this one. I also want to get Crusader Kings 3 either playable on my Linux or installed on my Windows box, Windows boot, so that I can get that tested as well. And then, kind of like as we were talking about before, I have several games I want to be going through, but I don't want to spend more than like 2 to 4 hours on each of them. And so at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, call it 10 hours. So basically, if I spend 4 hours on each of them, 10 hours, or 10 different ones, that's about a 40-hour period of time. So basically, I would be able to do the analysis of all of these games in terms of their UI, their map infrastructure, the basic main game loop in about a week's worth of time. Now, it won't all be in a single week, because I only do about 2 hours a day on this. The rest of the time I'm working on implementation. But that will give me the ability to, over time, kind of take a look at all of them and make sure that I have incorporated the things that I feel like are addressed in better ways than what I was previously planning. So far, I haven't seen anything. Actually, that's not true. There was like one thing. I'll have to go back and look at my notes and see what that is. But by and large, it's just going to be an ongoing process. So again, you guys don't have to be here for this. I'm just going to do this work anyways. You are always welcome to jump in and chat and stuff like that. I forgot to turn the mics off when I actually started my analysis. So I'll probably, again, turn the mics off next time just so that I can focus and only look back when I need to. But yeah, so the other thing is like, this is just one set of things I'm going to be showing. As I mentioned before, once I get into implementing the map and the UI and stuff like that, a lot of that I'll be streaming, because I've already told you, like, the domain client, it doesn't exist yet. I haven't even started it. There's no project associated with it. It's all design work and then engine work that's going to be used in order to create the domain mechanics, and then it'll talk to the client and stuff like that. So I don't mind, just loading it up and saying, all right, I'm starting from the beginning, and here's what I'm working on. So you guys can see, the pace at which I'm moving. You can get a sense of, where I'm at. And ultimately, this will be saved for the Alpha 1 backers, but I don't have that feature on the website yet, and is not bound to Discord. So at least for the time being, either I'm not going to show that to the public, or I will show it and not really care who's watching it. There are pros and cons both ways, admittedly, but I don't know that I actually care too much at this point about what the cons are. Most of it has to do with public opinion, but at this point, the people's opinion of me is so horrible anyways, it really doesn't change anything. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's just pushing through and doing the work and making sure that people know that the work is getting done, regardless of whether or not people think I am capable of getting the work done. It'll be getting done, and then people will see that, which is good. All right, well, that ends it for today. So I'm going to pop off. I got to go, like I said, run an errand. And then I will be back later on and do some more work this evening, but I won't be streaming that. So you guys have a good day. I will let you know if I'm going to be doing this again tomorrow. I don't think I will. I think tomorrow is going to be focused mostly on development all day. So the next time I'm able to do this will probably be Thursday or Friday. But I'll let you guys know at least a couple hours before, so you can plan to be there if you can. And if not, that's okay too. So yeah, you're not missing anything, just this. So I'll see you guys, and have a good time. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the channel because I'm going to be leaving like immediately. And so I just want to make sure that everybody's safe and that people aren't harassing each other and stuff like that. So since I can't be here to moderate, and there's not any moderators right now, for the safety of everybody, I'm going to close it. It's not that I don't want you guys chatting. I just want to make sure that there is someone around to make sure that nobody is nobody's being verbally assaulted or anything like that. So yeah, that's all. I'm going to lock it now.